Got a little visitor here. This is Shinx, but I just call her Stinky Booty. I am actually a hack. She does all my mixing work.
Hey guys, welcome to the Encore. Phil had to run, but Tommy stuck around. We're going to talk some freaking Tallica, guys. To get started, I do want to do a nice fresh review on the album 72 Seasons. We both seem to see a lot of discourse around how this band should just give up and this band should just quit and why are they even writing music now? And I guess people want them to sound like fucking Fit for an Autopsy or something. I don't understand the expectation around Metallica that people seem to have. I see them as a metal jam band.
Yeah.
These songs just sound like they're fun to play. It sounds like the dudes are in a good place together. They like hanging out. And they were writing songs like a jam band would, where you're all in one room writing the song together. Did you listen to this album fully? Have you checked the whole thing out? It's a long
It's definitely not my favorite Metallica release.
That's fair. That makes sense.
And I'm not trying to shit on it by any means. It's definitely not their strongest work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely a lot of filler songs. Like the songs that I love from the album, I absolutely love, but the rest of it is kind of just like, yep, that's a Metallica song. But if I had to pick anyone that stood out, it's If Darkness Had a Sun. That song is sick, dude. The digga-dun. And first listen, I agree, didn't like it that much. I really didn't. But then I noticed for days that was stuck in my head, and I went back to listen to it, and I was like, okay, no, this actually goes. And
even the first song on the album, 72 Seasons,
has some riffs.
It opens up like it's pretty typical Metallica fare, but
what do you expect?
halfway through that song, they do this really consistent chugging riff, and it just creates this almost biker rhythm where you feel like you're holding on and shaking around as the song's playing.
Yeah, dude.
72 Seasons, I guess we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but it's really not a bad album. I think for a bunch of dudes in their 60s, it's pretty serviceable. And I actually think that the record they put out before this one, the last record proper, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I think it's called.
Yeah, dude, that album rips.
Yeah, that's a good album. I think it's better than this one. I definitely think it's better than this one.
I can agree with that.
Well, really, let me take a look. The standout songs for me on this one, I have a heart beside 72 Seasons. I like 72 Seasons. Again, I love where that song goes halfway through. Metallica has a good history of first songs being absolute bangers.
Oh yeah.
This album really does play it super safe. There's not you barely hear a clean note on this album even.
Dude, even on their comeback album, Death Magnetic, there's a instrumental on that one.
Right, Death Magnetic wasn't bad either.
Death Magnetic is probably my favorite Metallica album. I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but I fucking love that record so much.
That's interesting. That's a hot take. I like that.
I love that record so much, dude.
I think my favorite song on this album is a tie between You Must Burn and Crown of Barbed Wire.
Okay, sick.
But it's hard for me to even pick out what I liked about these songs, so I'm just assuming that this was a song where I was like, okay, the riffs in here are really working for me. If Darkness Had a Sun was the final song that I had a heart beside. I really like that song. The last song on this album is way too long. I think they should have ended with Room of Mirrors. I think that would have been fine. I don't really understand the album artwork. It's like a baby's crib maybe, and then
it's
some instruments.
It's the concept of the first 72 seasons that you live are so detrimental to who you are as a person. So my perspective
16 years, right? I think.
So it's my perspective on the artwork with the whole the crib and everything is kind of just to symbolize their from birth and their experiences during their first 72 seasons and the things that shaped them as musicians and the band that they are.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense
I think.
to me.
But I could be totally wrong, but
I think when I first saw it, I almost thought it was just like some AI generated bullshit.
Dude, for real.
You know what I mean?
For real. It's
I was like, maybe they
weird.
just AI generated this. But there's two like types of Metallica fans, right? There's like people who just genuinely like Metallica, and then there's like Metallica fans, like those like mainstream like metal died when Metallica cut their hair, like those types of dudes. Totally. So like, I think those guys have like put like a weird like stink on liking Metallica. You know what I mean? Totally. And it's almost like, and it's weird because I've found Metallica to be pretty consistent. I mean, like you can pick and choose a couple good songs off Load and Reload, but like I went back into their discography and those albums are fucked. They're just really fucking weird.
Straight up.
But as I don't know. And I also think that a band that has had a lineup as consistent as they've had for such a long time is always something that I find really impressive. It's kind of crazy that these guys are like still doing this. And like, especially after you see a documentary like Some Kind of Monster where like, it feels like these dudes like hate each other like at the moment. You know what I mean? They're so like wrapped up in the throes of their own addictions and like, this is the dumbest shit.
That's sick,
Saint Anger, dude. Yeah, my brother bought it for me for Christmas one year because we used to ironically just blast the song "Frantic."
Tick 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 tock.
That is a funny ass song, dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, I think that album gets overhated, but I did listen to a few songs off of it just to like contextualize this conversation today. It's pretty. It's a pretty.
My theory with Saint Anger is that if any band that wasn't Metallica put that record out, people would have loved it.
I think that that's an interesting take. I wonder if like some band that came out of nowhere came out and put out Saying Anger, we'd look at them the way that like Faith No More got looked at.
Yeah. But
that's an interesting take. I'd be interested to jump into the Berenstain universe where there was a different band wrote Saint Anger and became like this like legendary band. Like, oh, they changed drums forever.
And I mean,
and like to be fair, like the Saint Anger snare tone is like a genre,
dude. It lives on.
Like
it lives on.
Yeah, in certain types of like power violence music. Dude, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I thought it would be interesting to try to rank not all of Metallica's albums because that would take forever, but. And when we talk about the big four of Metallica albums, I think we all know what we mean, right? So I definitely want to try to rank these from 1 to 4. I thought this was going to be easy. Yeah. And now that I've really... So I had it in my head that Master of Puppets was my favorite Metallica record. And I hadn't thought about that in years and years and years. And I moved on with my life. And I was like, yeah, Master of Puppets is the best one. Yeah. I'm not so sure about that anymore. I really think there's a case to be made that Ride the Lightning is the best. See, you've got me thinking. Okay, so let's talk about them. We'll start in order then. So let's start with Kill 'Em All. Now I'm going to go out right on a limb and you let me know if you agree. Out of the top 4 records, I do think this is the least good one. I think this belongs in the 4 slot.
I believe so.
Okay, so we're in agreement. So I think that it has all the things that make a good Metallica record, but you can hear it's just a little slower. They're still kind of figuring it out. Like Seek and Destroy is a classic. Four Horsemen's a classic. Whiplash that's my favorite song on this record. I love Whiplash. Yeah, Hit the Lights again. That consistency they have with nailing the first song on a record. Yeah, Seek and Destroy is like one of the most like iconic riffs of all the time. Dude, like
the other cool thing too that I noticed
iconic
on
riff.
on Justice, Puppets, and Ride the Lightning, the second track is the title track
because they don't even have a song called Kill 'Em All on here. No. Which, you know what? I wonder if one of the songs was named Kill 'Em All and the label was like,
what happened was they wanted to call it Metal Up Your Ass.
Oh, I think
And
I've heard that. It wasn't like they're all different album cover with like knives.
It was a toilet with a hand coming out with holding a knife.
Right.
And then the label was like, yo, fuck no. And then Cliff was like, oh, we should just fucking kill them all. And then they're like, yo, we're calling it Kill 'Em All.
Yeah, and I mean, Kill 'Em All, like in the grand scheme of things, the album cover is super violent.
It's dope,
dude. Like it's an implied violence, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to overthink Kill 'Em All too much. We both agree that it goes there, and I do genuinely believe that this is when it actually gets like totally subjective, in my opinion. There's definitely not an objective answer to this, but so in your opinion, then what would be in third place?
Ride the Lightning.
Okay, see now we're gonna butt heads a bit. There's something about the mix on this album. Maybe it's just louder, and I know how that affects like the human brain. Fight Fire with Fire, Ride the Lightning. Okay, here is a really important part about my argument here. Ride the Lightning has the least corny things you have to deal with on a Metallica album. The bells on For Who the Bell Tolls are pretty corny. I would have never have done that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. Fade to Black is like probably the most tasteful, like soft song they've ever made. Totally. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like Trapped Under Ice is crazy. Escape is crazy. Creeping Death. And then Call of Cthulhu, I think, is my favorite instrumental by them. So, so we don't have to think of anything definitive right now.
Yeah.
But Ride the Lightning was an album I didn't think I really liked.
Yeah.
And now when I went back through it, I realized that like this album front to back might be the only Metallica album that's like a genuine no skip for me.
That's fair. Yeah.
So what about you? Give me your dissertation on Ride the Lightning and why you think it should be in third.
It's like, I don't know, it's the tail end of the Mustaine era of Metallica. Like some of the last stuff that Mustaine contributed to the band was on Ride the Lightning. And don't get me wrong, like Ride the Lightning is one of my favorite metal albums of all time. But when it comes to the first 4 records, it's definitely not number 1 for me. I don't think anything negative of it by any means. However, there's other albums in their first 4 that definitely stuck with me, and also I find myself actively listening to a lot more. I find like Ride the Lightning for me is very much like, oh, I'm feeling nostalgic about Metallica, so I'm going to listen to it.
Okay.
You know? I also have a original pressing of it on vinyl.
What do you think would be second place then? Because I wonder if we'll agree on that.
Puppets.
No,
if we're not taking production into account, Puppets.
Is Battery their best intro song out of the 4?
Absolutely.
It might be.
It is.
Oh, Blackened is really good.
Very. Fuck.
No, Battery's like an iconic Metallica song. Now, I do kind of want to get into the song Master of Puppets in general, because we were talking about it earlier. That song is so close to being like the actual best song in the world. Yeah. Like it is so fucking close. If Metallica could do with one thing, it would be someone to come in and like literally edit them down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Like I did a cover of Master of Puppets, the song, and I cut out like so much shit. I shortened it down to like 5 minutes and 58 seconds.
That's
from
amazing.
8.5 minutes.
I also have a theory that I always wondered how like people who mainly play metal even like learn clean shit. And I think it's because of Metallica.
Oh, dude, that's a very, very solid fucking take, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I always wondered, I'm like, man, like all I ever do is play like hardcore riffs and like I'm learning Turnstile songs and stuff. Like why? Like how are people learning to like finger noodle and stuff? And I'm like, oh, it's all these Metallica parts they learned when they were kids because they want to be able to play the whole song.
That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So Metallica is the reason that metal kids know how to play clean guitar. Yeah, so in my ranking, in my perfect world, it goes, it would be Kill 'Em All, and then, I think for me, third is Master of Puppets. Okay. I just think that when I look at the songs, like obviously Damage Inc. is crazy, but like
Disposable
Disposable
Heroes.
and it's not bad. It's just
Dude,
I
the
don't know.
chug
It's just
riff,
not
are
one of
you
the Metallica
kidding
songs.
me?
I know. I don't. The things that should not be either. It's just I don't know. I think Master of Puppets is. I think Battery and Master of Puppets stand out so much on this album back to back that you lose. Oh, Sanitarium though. Oh my god.
Dude,
right.
Leper Messiah.
See, this is why. This is I keep changing. I know that is. I have the heart beside it. I love that song. And again, Orion is. It's. I think Call of Cthulhu is a little more fun than Orion.
Orion's my favorite Metallica instrumental.
Oh, see, that's fair. I don't know. Maybe maybe it's because Call of Cthulhu is like the first one that I liked. I was like going back and I like re-exposed myself to the first four Metallica albums to give myself like a new appreciation for them. So when I heard Call of Cthulhu on Ride the Lightning, I really wasn't expecting it.
That's
so
fair.
I was like, what is going on? Like, and I kept waiting for James to come in and ruin the vibe, and he didn't. And I was like, oh my god. Okay, so for you then, the number one album would be Justice. Right. Absolutely. For me, that's second. I think Eye of the Beholder. Eye of the Beholder is my personal favorite, like Metallica song of all time. Really, really good one. Harvester of Sorrows up there too. Actually, I would say out of all the albums, and Justice for All is probably my least favorite title track.
I love the title track, dude. When, dude, that two-step riff during the verses.
You know what it is? I have a personal distaste also for the song One. Because like okay. So I think that kind of pushes the album down for me. That's what it is actually. That's why it goes to second place. Because for me, when I look at Master of Puppets, I have two skips. The things that should not be in Disposable Heroes. Sorry. On Injustice for All, I got one skip, and it's one, and it's a merciful skip because that's a long ass song, and it feels longer than it is, especially like. I think One is a really cool song in a world where breakdowns weren't as prevalent. You know what I mean? To really hear that for the first time, be like, "What the fuck are they doing?" Like, I've never heard a band do that. Like, but Ride the Lightning for me, I don't know. What's a skip for you on this album?
Escape.
Really?
Yeah,
I like Escape. That's one of the shortest Metallica songs of all time, too. Oh, see, I think that song. I think it's trimmed fat. I think that song is trimmed fat. That feels like one of the songs where someone stepped up and they're like, you could just like not play this that many times.
That's fair.
But yeah, Trapped Under Ice is that's like literally the shortest Metallica song of all time, I think. Oh no. Well, of the big four. I remember Trapped Under Ice feeling like that was one of the songs I remember loving as a kid because it felt like I could like get through it in a reasonable amount of time.
Dude, totally. For me, with putting Justice in the number one spot, has nothing to do with the production, because obviously that's probably the worst production on the first four. But it's just the fucking heaviness on that album is not found in any other Metallica record.
It's definitely more
crushing. Like, dude, like. Fucking even just like Shortest Straw, that one two-step riff, like the I've been listening to that since I was like 10 years old, and it still gives me goosebumps every time because of how powerful it is. And like I think James's voice sounded the absolute best out of any other Metallica record. He sounds so fucking pissed, and like yeah, dude. And the drum tones too were like at the time a very different thing. They're very compressed and very like triggered sounding, and also Lars's drumming on that record is irrefutably phenomenal. The little double kick accent shit that he does, the dynamic choke cymbals and shit like is found in every modern metal band nowadays.
Yeah, he's very much Lars has always been like a very under celebrated drummer. You know what I mean? He's not given his dues very much, and I understand that he's not the most flashy drummer in the world by a long shot. But again, I like as someone who's like written with people in the past, like I've written with flashy drummers who like can't keep a 4x4 beat on a regular basis, like
dude, for sure.
And I'm like, man, like if you would just stop with all the bullshit, like. and just hit your fucking snare and your fucking cymbal and your kick.
Yeah.
I just want to rip away the rest of the pieces from them and be like, you get these 3,
Yeah.
stop. Like, just chill out.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised when I went back to Metallica because I was kind of worried it was just going to sound like unheavy to me, and it does in a way.
Until you listen
but
to Justice.
Well, I mean that, and just like, again, you have to kind of get your expectations realistic, right? Like Metallica never was Whitechapel. Like it's like,
this is a thing too, like especially in contrast to like modern Metallica records to the first 4. You've been a band for 40 years. Why the fuck would you want to make the same album every time?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, dude, and even with like with Rust, there are a couple songs that we've only been playing for a couple years, and every time it comes up in the set, I'm like, I guess we'll play it. You know? So can you imagine fucking 40 years of people just demanding the same fucking shit? Couldn't like
and especially when you're a band like Metallica too, like you have such long songs, and when people are like, play Master, then play Ride, then play Justice, you're like, and then we're done, I guess. Like that's it.
As an artist, I wouldn't want to put myself in a box and do the same thing every time. Like, there's nothing interesting about that. There's nothing fulfilling about that. And I think like a lot of people like don't take the time to put themselves in like the perspective of the band, you know, and it's like, why, like we put that record out 40 years ago and you're still stuck on it. Like, we're not doing the same fucking thing we did 40 years ago. Like they've been in Metallica longer than they've not been in Metallica in their lives, you know?
Well, it also makes me wonder what people want from that band, because like their experimental stage was like Load and Reload and like and people complained. They were like, don't do, like, people got mad that they cut their hair, which is insane. But like, you know what I mean? Like, people were like complained and they were like, we're sorry, we'll go back to doing what you want. And then people are like, you're stale. And it's like, the fuck do you want? What do you want me to do? Like, am I stale? Like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
It.
And again, they're such a huge band that like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I distinctly have this memory where The Weeknd very recently just became the #1 streamed artist on Spotify. And all of the comments on the post I saw for it were people being like, he's overrated. And I was like, you know what? For like the #1 person in the world to be listened to, that's a pretty good pick, actually. Yeah. Like for the most popular artist in the world, he's talented. The Weeknd's fucking talented.
And this is the thing that, that pisses me the fuck off about so many people. It's very predominant in heavy music. It's like having mass appeal is a bad thing. Like, what?
And gatekeeping this, and especially when fans are like, when you're gatekeeping Metallica, guys, you realize you're gatekeeping one of the most popular bands of all time. Like, you are not interesting for listening to Metallica, dude. And it doesn't make sense to be being like, oh, like, why is H&M selling Metallica shirts? It's like, bro, like, Metallica can't, like, you can't, your identity can't be wrapped up in Metallica and then also be wrapped up in this idea that like Metallica is something that people don't know about.
Yeah,
that's completely insane.
And for me, like, when I saw the whole H&M thing, I was like, whoa, like, we're breaking that barrier into mainstream society where you can go to...
Yeah, I bought a Slayer shirt from H&M.
Right? And like, I think that's kind of a cool thing. Like, and what's so bad about the success of a genre? Like, why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing that more people are getting turned on to something that we all love? And it's just, it gives us a better foundation for artists in the genre to make a living off of this shit. And it just, it doesn't do anything bad. It doesn't. Like,
maybe I've literally become what I'm about to complain about. But I feel like there's this issue where people act like they're like professional fans of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like, they get like really like it becomes like such a big part of their personality that they like this band or this, you know, game or this genre of music or these types of movies and stuff like that. And they start to defend art that other people are creating with the same like emotional sort of like vigor and vitriol that you would expect like like for like something you created, right? Like when someone like leaves a comment on like one of my songs and is like, this is dog shit, it hurts my feelings because I don't think my rap songs are amazing, but I've worked really hard on it. I mean, it should like, you know what I mean? Like it bothers me because I actually created it. So like, I've never understood people who get like super upset about like, oh, like you don't like the same record as me, or like we don't both agree that this. And as much as people tend to bond over the things that they like, people seem to really, really like to bond over shitting on the same things. Totally. You know what I mean? So like, so many people will take an opportunity to come together and shit on something way before they come together and celebrate something. And so that's just when I shit on something, I try to at least listen to it or you're view fair it. About you know what I mean? Right? Yeah, I'm gonna. Then there have been so many times where I come around on something I wasn't expecting to necessarily like this Metallica album, and I don't love 72 Seasons. I don't even know if I really like 72 Seasons. I just don't hate it, and I don't understand why people were like so quick to be like stupid. And I'm like, well, like it's fine. I can't think of many dudes in their 60s who are, you know, or bands that have been around for 40 years that would write an album that sounds this decent at least. Like, even if it's mid, like if my 60-year-old grandpa put out a mid-metal album, I'd be like, Grandpa, that's like, fucking sick.
Like if for some reason, if someone has never heard of Metallica before and you showed them 72 Seasons, there's no way they would guess that the band's in their 60s. They sound so much younger than they are, you know? They have 100%, that youthful energy to their music.
And old fans always forget that there are like new kids coming up all the time. Like when we were young happened because of nostalgia bait for sure. But a big part of that is also that like, just like when I was a kid and everyone was like, oh, you're listening to Bayside? I only listen to the Get Up Kids. And like nowadays, Bayside is the Get Up Kids for new kids. Yeah. I had this revelation when Monster Energy started to be associated with like emo, like new, like young emo kids. And I was like, Monster Energy, isn't that like a douchebag thing? Like even when you read the side of it. Yeah, and like when you read like the sign of a Monster Energy can, it's like this ain't a drink for the ladies, fellas. This is you want to drink diesel and fuck shit up. Like Monster Energy cans, like they advertise themselves as this like total douche sort of product, and then out of nowhere, I think because people my age were like, no, only douchebags drink that. Yeah. People my age have had kids now, and their kids are like, my parents think Monster Energy is cringy, so I like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, everything is just about like,
I always thought, like Monster Energy was just synonymous with holes in drywall.
Oh, it certainly is. It certainly is. That might be like a Bang Energy thing, you know. So I guess to try to summarize our conversation here, so we would definitively put Kill 'Em All in the 4th slot. Oh, see, our ranking is so genuinely different. If we had to come to an agreement, it's so different. Okay. This is tough then, because I can't explain it, but I feel like Master of Puppets deserves to be in 2nd place because it feels like it's the neutral one for us. You think it is 2nd, but there's less of a differentiation between 1st and 3rd. So now we're deciding whether Ride the Lightning is 1st or 3rd, which it feels soul crushing for both of us, which I like. These are high stakes.
Yes, most definitely. You know what, man? I would say if we had to like make it a compromise, I would put Puppets first. Because if we can both,
you know what,
we can kind of agree it might be 2nd.
You know what? This is good. So I would say this is showing up on screen for the viewer, and it's not showing up in order for you. Boom. So we got number 4, Kill 'Em All. Number 1 is Master of Puppets. And then you know what? I will make a concession then, and I would say Injustice for All 2nd, and I'll put Ride the Lightning 3rd.
There we go.
You're definitely more of the Tallica expert than I am. I'm a bit of a poser. But guys. Yeah, see, he's playing the flying G.
Yeah. Snake bite.
He's got the flying G, guys.
Yeah, brother.
So now the reverse side. What is the worst Metallica album?
I'd say I would lump Load and Reload together. as the worst. I would rather listen to Saint
Okay.
Anger than both of those.
Right. Now, I originally had Load and Reload written down as well. I had them both written down. And then I remembered a funny little album called Lulu.
No, we do not talk about this. We do not talk about
Dude,
Lulu.
I forgot about Lulu, and I put it on, and I was literally laughing out loud trying to listen.
I am the table.
I want to appreciate it so bad. I'm the type of person who goes against, like, conventions and will, like when I hear something I don't like, my initial, like, thought process is like, well, I'm stupid. And, like, no, someone made this for a reason. I must be missing something. This is the only music I've ever heard in my life that I find so bad that it straight up makes me laugh out loud.
Dude.
This is shocking, and I know it's popular to hate Lulu. Like, oh, look at me on my podcast saying
shit,
Lulu
bro.
is a bad record.
Metallica,
but
and I fucking hate that record.
This is a shockingly bizarre record.
This is my take on this.
Okay.
Shit. It sounds like Metallica is just fucking around jamming, and then some guy with dementia walked into their jam room and just started saying shit into a mic. That's Lulu.
It's even mixed that way.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
Mixed like he's moving away from the mic and his audio.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's like they're jamming and some fucking dude, old guy walks in and just starts saying random bullshit.
The pain shoots through my body, a sword between my thighs. I wish that I could kill you, but I do love your eyes.
Like, who owed who a favor here?
The artwork for Lulu, if you look at it and then look at an old picture of Lars, Lars looks exactly like the mannequin.
Oh my god.
They took a chance to experiment and do something a little artsy, which they don't really have any loss from, because they're so fucking rich. You know, like it doesn't matter if it's a commercial flop or not. They're able to just make the music that they want to do, no matter how controversial or not. You know.
Well, and that was one of the arguments about this new Metallica record that was bothering me too, is people being like, "Oh, they're just cashing in." I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think
they're trying to cash.
This is like an hour and a half record.
They try and do.
Yeah, this is a lot of work to cash in.
If they tried to cash,
why don't you just do a remaster? Yeah. Or like, and they did a new S&M album, which I didn't listen to it, but like I love the first S&M record.
Super dope.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. We have ranked Metallica 1 to 4. It's on the screen for you, maybe. I don't know. This episode's a mess right now, but guess what? We persevere on. My next question for you. I love that song. Hatebreed is a band where I can't figure out if I find them corny or if I just fucking love them, or maybe it's both, right? Is it just both?
Think it's
like,
both.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, shout out Jamie.
Right?
I appreciate it. Although, Hatebreed is definitely one of those bands that has been worse than they've been bad longer than they've been good. Not bad, but not like Perseverance or whatever that album was called was like, well, kind of a one-off for them.
Yeah, no, that album fucking.
I think they went a bit more just like, yeah. Jamie Josta's solo stuff is a little butt rocky for me,
dude. The fucking, I mean, a little off topic, but the record that he did with Corpse Grinder is like one of my favorite releases in the past like 10 years. So like Jamie did all the instrumentation.
Oh, did they do a full album or just a song?
A full album, and it's like Corpse Grinder's solo shit. Essentially, it's just
sick.
called Corpse Grinder. So it's Jamie Jasta doing all the instrumentation and production, and then Corpse Grinder doing vocals on it. It's fucking sick, dude. It just sounds like even like heavier Hatebreed and Corpse Grinder's on vocals. It's fucking nuts.
That's so sick. That actually that sounds sick. I didn't realize there is so much overlap with Corpse Grinder in like the hardcore.
He loves
community.
hardcore.
Like he's
man.
like the terror feature. Yeah, he just seems like he gets brought up on the show a lot, but Corpse Grinder just seems like the best dude too.
Absolute fucking sweetheart. Just such a cool guy. I aspire to be like him.
So yeah, no, same. I would also like to grow up to be Corpse Grinder when I'm older. I want to get 3 guilty pleasures off you.
Okay.
And then 3 bands that either people would be surprised that you don't like the band, or it's the type of band that you always felt like I should like this band, but I just don't. And I just don't get why I don't like this band. So 3 guilty pleasures that you like. I don't go out of my way to tell people I listen to this, and 3 bands that you hate that you feel like you should like.
Okay. Yeah. Number 1, I have an issue with the term guilty pleasure when it comes to music. Because I don't have guilty pleasures when it comes to music. It's like I like what I fucking like.
I appreciate
that's it, you know. But bands that or artists that I listen to that I wouldn't probably be the first to name off if people ask me what I like.
Yeah. Not blasting it out of the car.
Yeah, exactly. I've been listening to a lot of RuPaul lately, Mama Ru.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, dude. RuPaul's
for whatever that term means. Yeah. A lot of the people on those shows actually have like really hype dance tracks that they put out. Like tons of the queens on those shows.
Like, well, on Drag Race, like all the music is RuPaul's music. So by watching Drag Race, all those songs would get stuck in my head, and then I would actually listen to like the full songs, and like that shit has been on fucking repeat for me the past like couple weeks. So yeah,
nice.
So RuPaul, Baby Metal. I like Baby Metal.
Okay, yeah, I haven't checked them out at all. I'm aware of their shtick. Like I get what it is, so I'm pretty sure I would understand what I'm going to hear going in. A lot of controversies around that band. Oh wait,
start with the song.
Yeah, no. I'm retracting everything I said. By the way, sorry. This is how things work. I actually love Baby Metal, and I love Baby Metal fans, and I love BTS, and I love K-pop, and those are the best genres of music in the world. And on this show, you find nothing but K-pop stans. I just want to make that very clear.
That's hilarious.
I want to make that very clear.
That's hilarious. Essentially, what happened with Baby Metal was they took some young female-bodied pop singers, and they never listened to metal before. And then they got like some of the most prominent metal musicians in Japan to make the instrumentation. And then they brought those little like manufactured pop star type teenagers into the studio and had them sing over the shit. And that's kind of how Baby Metal started. And it sounds like every awesome anime intro that you don't skip when you're watching anime.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. For me, it's like I remember you would hear like songs like that in like DDR back in the day, where it's just like this extreme metal song, and you just be like, "What is this shit? Is this like a real genre of music, or is this like just a remix in the game? Like, is that like?" So yeah, no, I should check them. I should check them out because you're not the first person to have mentioned them.
They're cool.
What would be your third and final?
CL, to keep the K-pop thing going.
Okay, yeah, I'm not even aware of who that person is.
CL is a Korean.
I mean, I love that person.
Yeah, yeah, she's in a rose to stardom through the K-pop group 21, and then she went on her own,
which we love here.
And her solo stuff I fucking love, and she's done like I don't know. She has like this one song called Dr. Pepper that has like OG Mako, like the bitch you guessed it guy, and it has like Riff Raff on it, just like the most random as fuck people. Yeah, but it's sick, man. And like I don't know, just the attitude to it and like the production behind it. It's a vibe, and I fuck with it pretty hard.
There we go. You heard it here first. So I'll go into my guilty pleasures, and then we'll get into the 3 bands that we should like, or I don't know, whatever I meant by that question. Let me, you know what? We have a bit of an age difference between me and you. I mean, I'm a Zoomer, guys. I'm a Zoomer.
I'm on the cusp.
My age range is Zoomer. But no, I'm 34. But so let me know if these aren't actually like cringy anymore.
Okay.
If you're aware of them, you'll definitely be aware of at least one of them. The first one I put is the 18 Visions self-titled like hard rock album they put out. Thank you. Oh my god, it's like I hate that type of music, but holy fuck, the riffs just being in like drop B or whatever they're in, just like Black and Bruised, I think, and Victim, and like it's just so like again, it kind of reminds me of like Guns N' Roses almost, like the attitude rock sort of, and the singing that sort of like. Yeah, I know. I can't even describe what that sort of like twang is that you can add to your voice to get that. It's like I don't know. And Axl Rose sound. Yeah, it's a yarl. You're fucking right. Like Axl Rose and like especially more so like the dude from AC/DC. They sound fucking crazy. Yeah. Like okay. So a bit of a detour here, and I'm glad I'm finally getting to talk about this on camera. I've always thought about what it must have been like to be like the dudes in AC/DC. And that singer came in and auditioned.
Oh, dude, for real.
And they're just like playing some power chords, and he's like, yeah! And they're like, he's incredible. Yeah. Like, how the fuck did that happen? Well, I've got big balls. You're like, this guy's gonna make us famous. Dude, right. Well, one of them's dressed like a fucking schoolboy, so I mean, they were full of bad ideas, man. I don't know how you feel, but fuck AC/DC.
Oh, I hate them so much,
I genuinely, thank you. I hate that band so much.
I'm not a fan
at
all.
Fucking stay. But yeah, that 18 Visions self-titled is an absolute rager. I bet a lot of people wrote it off because like 18 Visions was such like a crazy heavy band at the beginning of their career. So this switch to like butt rock pissed off so many people when I was a kid. Yeah. People were so mad at 18 Visions for writing this record, and this record slaps.
Good shit, man.
Yeah, the next guilty pleasure I have here, and again, I don't know if this is considered a guilty pleasure anymore, but I caught a lot of shit for listening to this, and it was American Idiot by Green Day.
I love that record.
That's such a good record. That's so like my favorite Green Day record.
Dude.
When I grabbed a new guitar, one of the first songs I learned was American Idiot. Yeah. That is a fun... It's two riffs. And you know the whole song.
Yep.
Such a good song. The solo is fun to play on that song. And like, I like that they had the guts to do like a rock opera sort of thing. Man. Like, especially at a moment in their career where they could just coast. I find it so strange that like both Green Day and Blink-182 like went through like an emo stage in their 30s, like a full-on emo stage. Green Day especially.
Well, just product of the time, right? That's really popular, and staying relevant is, as some people might argue against this might be a hot take, but I think the ability to recognize how to stay relevant is an important part of being an artist.
Yeah, and I think that as much as people, and you know, this is a hardcore podcast, so people really aren't going to want to hear this. Authenticity only goes so far sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm in the sense that when I say authenticity only goes so far, I don't mean honesty. I mean that idea of like, I'm only going to write music that I would want to hear. I think sometimes you can have one or two songs or one or two riffs that wouldn't exactly be like the type of thing that you would be listening to on repeat. Yeah. I think it's okay to step out of that zone of being so concerned what like dudes who look and act exactly like you are going to think. Totally. I think it's okay to make music for kids younger than you, and you know what I mean? Like, I used to have this idea that like if I wasn't making music that I like, that if like that is specifically targeted towards people for me, that's somehow inauthentic. Yeah. And I think that's a wrong way of looking at it. I think you can be authentic and not necessarily be your own target demographic. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I get that, man. That makes sense.
And my third guilty pleasure is the stud, the baby, Bruno Mars. Oh my God. I fucking love Bruno Mars. I love the stuff he does with Anderson .Paak and Silk Sonic. Bruno Mars is smooth as butter. I'm just getting the vapors thinking about him. Oh my God, he's so charming. He dances so good. You see that young man dancing? Did you see that nice young man dancing? Oh my God.
Bruno Mars but like honestly, man, like super talented.
Of all the music that your mom's gonna like force you to listen to in a car with her, Bruno Mars is like good. Like you're hitting good there. At least you're not in like pop country territory or something.
My mom always made me listen to Genesis.
Oh, my mom used to literally just go on the radio until she heard Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Uptown Funk turned off, she would desperately search the radio until she found Uptown Funk again. Brutal. And Tommy, she always found it. She always found it again. It is always playing again somewhere else.
My mom would make a bunch of like home CDs. Like she would ask me to download songs for her.
That's so funny. Home CDs.
And then like she'd burn them on the CDs to listen to in the car. So there's like like my mom's name is Joni, so it'd be like Joni's rock mix, like 1 through 10 or whatever, you know. And it was like
Yeah, I
those
used to do that
CDs
as a
that
kid.
I was constantly being fed as a child, with everything from like fucking Triumvirate, Genesis, freaking Journey, Phil Collins solo stuff,
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel solo stuff, all that shit.
As far as like pop artists go, like he's like genuinely talented.
Yep.
And for anyone who is interested in like neo soul or just likes Anderson .Paak even as a musician, Bruno Mars has a side project with Anderson .Paak, and it's called Silk Sonic, and they do like 70s like soul wave new disco shit, and it's so good. It's baby making music. It's beautiful shit. It just sounds like the 70s. It's like, it's so nice sounding.
That's rad, man.
So getting into 3 bands that we either feel like we should like, or people are always like, I can't believe you don't like this band. What would be, we'll go back and forth on this one. What would be the first band that people wish you liked?
Could I just say punk music?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. You're the guest.
I can say whatever I want. Caca, pee, pee, poo, poo, wee, wee, bum, bum, fart. But
well, we gotta bleep that.
Yeah, like a lot of like bands like
no, I think that's fair.
And, like Black Flag, like
okay.
I've never given a fuck about that stuff. I don't know what it is. It never stuck with me. It always just I feel like punk was more so the mentality and like the culture around it, which I fuck with super hard. Like I love punk values and all that shit. Like
right.
The punk scene's values and the way it carries itself, I can get behind. But punk music itself just sounds so just messy and uninspired to me. It's not musical
That's
enough
fair.
to stick with me.
In terms of punk being a mentality, the way you were explaining it, it reminded me of something I always tell people. And it's that the thing I really like about the band System of a Down is it's metal being played by dudes with a punk mentality.
Oh, totally, man.
I agree with you. I think that a lot of old punk, especially like old school 80s hardcore punk like Black Flag and Gorilla Biscuits, I think by the time I was getting into heavy music, I had already heard stuff that was so much farther ahead in terms of production value.
Yeah, and like there's no mosh
parts. I was
parts.
just like, I don't understand why I would... Exactly. And it's like like the people in the pit are doing this weird shit. And you're like, what the fuck? It's like, are you guys being serious? Or are you trolling? Yeah. Like, is this really like...
Yeah.
Like, no, like, watch this video of, like, Black Flag playing in 83, and there's, like, dudes punching each other in the stomach quickly, and you're like, what the fuck are they even doing?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think, but I mean, again, I think that there's certain bands now that sort of emulate that sound. Like, a big band that comes to mind is, like, Fucked Up and, like, stuff like that. And I think that those types of bands, when you hear them with better production, it makes more sense. I do think that they are a victim of, like, bad production.
Yeah, I just think it's bad songwriting.
Yeah, no, you know what? And I mean, there is a reason that, like for example, like I've always thought, like the Sex Pistols, like people are always, like the Sex Pistols are like trash to me. Like I never really understood why people give a shit.
Cared.
Like, yeah,
I respect their place in music, and I find that punk had a much bigger impact on alternative music culturally, way more than it ever has, like actually musically.
Yeah. I mean, there's a handful of punk bands I definitely like. I'm a fan of, like, I love Rise Against. I love Anti-Flag. I love NoFX, which is like skate punk. Yeah. So a group that this might be a controversial take. I don't know if it'll be a controversial take on this show necessarily. I listen to a lot of how would I explain this? I listen to like Full of Hell and like noisecore bands and stuff like that. I listen to abrasive stuff. I listen to abrasive rap, even like Scarlord and Clipping and Josiah and all those dudes. But I fucking hate Death Grips. I do not get the appeal behind Death Grips at all. I swear everyone who says that they like Death Grips, they're lying. I don't understand it. Death Grips to me, like I love the band like Full of Hell, One of my favorite Full of Hell songs is called Derelict Satellite, and it's just guitar fuzz. It's just feedback, and I like it. So the fact that I find that more rhythmically interesting than Death Grips has always blown my mind. I like one Death Grips song. It's called like Psh Psh or something like that. I have never understood the appeal of Death Grips.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, uncontested. Perfect.
Oh, dude, I'm with you there. One that might piss off some hardcore kids. Well, not hardcore kids, old heads. I tried to get into Shai Hulud.
Ooh, yeah,
Never could.
I understand. You know what? I had a similar arc too, and I saw them live, and I really enjoyed them live. But then when I went back to the recordings, I just like I was like, this is the best record ever, and I just like like bands like 100th and stuff like that too. I always had trouble digesting that type of hardcore as well. So I think I know what you're talking about.
The main thing for me with Shai Hulud was when I bought one of their records blind.
Misanthropy?
No. I can't even remember which one it was. This was probably like 8 years ago. So like I was going to be going to a festival. It was a Heart Fest, which was in Quebec, and Shai Hulud was going to play. So I was just looking through the like hardcore metal section at my local record store. Shout out Grooves Records. And Shai Hulud album was in there, and I was like, oh, these guys are playing the festival I'm going to, where I'm going to see all these sick ass hardcore bands. So yeah, I'll check it out. So I bought the record and I went to go listen to it, and I'm like, I'm vibing. And then I'm like, oh, the song's done. It's kind of like, I described it as blue balls hardcore, because it feels like it's about to go up to like a mosh riff, like it's going to drop into something groovy or heavy, but then it just doesn't. It's just another circle pit riff, you know?
Yeah, you know what? Shai Hulud always felt like, and tell me if you've ever experienced this at a show, where it feels like everyone's starting to dance to mosh parts that you didn't even realize the band was playing when you heard them recorded. And like all of a sudden people are like slam dancing to a part. And you're like, is that a slam dance part? Am I fucking stupid? Like, I agreed. I always felt like they were the type of band where like, they were like Misery Signals, but there was never that payoff at the end where you finally get the big ass riff.
It's
like
fucking blue balls hardcore. That's just the way it is.
It's such a good way of putting it. I completely agree. My second one is definitely a controversial one, but I have for a very, very long time forever basically. I've basically never liked Eminem.
Same.
Oh my god, this is so weird. Do you know how hard it is to have a conversation with someone when you said that to them and they like you'll see their face do something, like they get defensive. I've always found Eminem is like a rapper for okay, tell me if this makes sense to you. Eminem makes music for people who use the term big words. Like Eminem fans are the type of people to be like, I like Eminem. Eminem's a better rapper because he uses lots of big words.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, you're an adult who says big words.
My thing with Eminem is like, I don't necessarily dislike his music. It just doesn't do anything for me.
I hate his voice. The reason I bring up Eminem all the time in terms of like contentious points too is because like Eminem is one of those like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like so like when you talk to someone who's really into metal, right? They're not going to say Metallica's the best band. It's going to be something more obscure.
Lower on the iceberg.
But with rap, this thing happens where like to complete mainstream normies and to people who are deep into rap, they like everyone feels the need to just be like Eminem's the best one. It's almost like this point you have to give up. Like even if you don't like Eminem, it's expected that you're supposed to like kind of kiss his ass.
I understand, dude. Yeah, that's accurate as fuck. That's super accurate.
Yeah. And it pisses me off. Like I remember when the Eminem and MGK beef was going on. And like I would tell people, I'd be like, man, Eminem's so corny. And they're like, oh, so you're on MGK's side. I'm like, no, they're the same fucking dude. Are you kidding me?
To be devil's advocate, I'm sure that there are a lot of kids that listened to MGK's rap shit that got into pop punk because of him. Not saying his pop punk shit's good.
You know what?
But I feel like he...
No, you know what?
Yeah. Played a part in that, you know, with a resurgence of that kind of shit. Not responsible, but played a part.
I will say that I think that there's diminished returns on MGK's.
Yeah.
There's diminished returns on MGK coming in and his influence, because for every kid who's going to hear MGK and move on to something like the Wonder Years or like The Story So Far or something like that, the problem is right now, like, even most popular TikTokers have pop punk songs out now. So I don't think it is helping that much. I think it's just like, oh, MGK put out music, and it didn't make people go listen to old pop punk music. It made everyone become a pop punk artist. Like Travis Barker is going around turning every rapper into a pop punker.
Yeah.
Like, it's so annoying, actually. I don't think it's working out that well. If there was a bunch of pop-punk music coming back that sounded like, you know, the golden years of like Real Friends and The Story So Far and like Neck Deep and like
Overlord.
Those bands, you know what I mean? Then I'd be down for it. But it's like digitalized, computery, like drag and drop riffs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's very uninspired.
No, I think I had the take. I had the original take as well in my head, where I was like, you know what? Maybe it's good because he's, you know, at least people are like listening to music with a guitar in it again. This is the third time pop punk has come back. It was like Sum 41 Days, and then we got like this revival of like
Warped Tour pop
hardcore
punk.
Dudes doing pop punk. Yeah, there was Warped Tour pop punk, and then there was like Story So Far and like Sad Boy pop punk, and now we have white rapper turned pop punk.
Do you remember the weird like, it was like a couple years where everyone was obsessed with shoegaze, and like Turnover.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was. Ever. I have never enjoyed shoegaze, and that was a really weird time in hardcore where everyone was like, "Hey, I bought 14 effects pedals, and my song is 6 minutes now, and I've changed all my vocals to just gentle hums."
Yeah, I get
that. Yeah. So, what would be your final band people wish you liked?
It's fucking tough. I'm gonna need a second.
Did you just hum in like? Did you just hum in Master of Puppets?
Probably.
It's like, that was so funny.
Holy shit, bro. Band we talked about before. So this is, it's a bit of a weird one. Because I do enjoy this artist. However, I prefer their newer shit way, way, way more than their old shit. And that's Bring Me the Horizon. I didn't give a fuck about that band until That's the Spirit came out. All their old shit, never cared.
Interesting.
Never cared about it. That's the Spirit came out and it got me, man.
That's a hot take. That's definitely a spicy take. Yeah, I'm a Suicide Season boy.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. It was just like Bring Me the Horizon's deathcore shit. Just like with what I was listening to at the time when that was popular, it didn't stick with me. And then like when I actually started to like get into deathcore, it was bands like Carnifex and As Blood Runs Black.
Yeah.
Chelsea Grin.
I fucking love Carnifex.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like bands like that were what, you know, I got all my deathcore enjoyment out of that shit and just never cared about Bring Me the Horizon. And then, I worked at Hot Topic, and That's the Spirit was like on our box to play music in the store. And I found myself putting that album on repeat like every shift. Like, I love it when artists are able to adapt, and not even just adapt, evolve. It's cool to show like they can do anything, man. They can do deathcore, they can do like pop punk radio rock shit, whatever the fuck it is. They're capable of doing it and knocking it out of the park, and I have nothing but respect for that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hot take to
I know.
Say that's the spirit is the good Bring Me the Horizon album, and the rest are kind of
Well,
shit.
Sempiternal's
like
great as
like
well. That. It's just I never gave a fuck about that band until That's the Spirit. That's the thing. And like that's fair. It's like their deathcore stuff never did anything for me. Shadow Moses stuck with me for sure off of Sempiternal, and I saw them at Warped when
that's
it came
a good
out.
Song, yeah.
But yeah, I never went out of my way to listen to Bring Me the Horizon until I heard That's the Spirit.
For me, my final band that I always felt like I personally basically hate this band because I feel like they gaslit me.
Okay.
Not them personally, but just their existence, because this is like the penultimate band that made me feel stupid for not liking their music. Like I just felt like I was dumb for not getting it. And that is Touche Amore.
Yep. I'm there with you.
I hate this band. I think everyone who likes this band is pretending, and everyone's been playing this weird Truman Show joke on me, where once I finally am like, okay, Touche Amore is good, they're like, oh, you idiot. No, it's not. Like, I swear to God, it's a prank people are pulling on me. I find his delivery weird. I don't like the whole, like, I don't like the idea of, like, the lyrics being written as these big blocks of poetry and then, like, being reinterpreted as song lyrics. Touche Amore sucks. I don't get it at all.
It's very small beanie, vintage Levi's, tucked in fishing shirt kind of music. They have a noise project where they like have like whoopee cushions hooked up to delay pedals or some shit. You know?
Yeah, like it's just so it's like up its own ass core. Like it's really
it comes
like
off as so pretentious to me.
It's so pretentious. So fucking pretentious. And like and then I feel like Touche Amore was one of those bands where people would like ask you if you liked them, and like it was always that type of thing where people would be like, it's like the Tool effect, you know what I mean? By the way, I do not like Tool. Fuck Tool. That's an honorable mention on here. But like they were always the type of band where like you can't just say you don't like them. People are like, oh no, I shouldn't have to put myself through Stockholm Syndrome to get to the point where the 3 minutes becomes bearable.
Absolutely, man.
Like, are you guys crazy? Did you ever listen to Listener?
Yes. I played a show the same night, same venue as Listener, just separate rooms.
Okay. Yeah. And we're talking about the same Listener, like the spoken word noise artist. Oh my God. Man, you know what? I almost want to erase Touche Amore and throw in Listener. Because Listener was another one where people are like, oh, how do you not like this? I'm like, it's like the dude is literally hitting a washing machine as the beat. Like, you don't like, look, if you like it, that's cool. Okay. And I like experimental music too, but don't act like I'm weird for finding this fucking a little hard to get around.
One of my favorite artists ever is King Diamond. And I never expect people to be into it because like, the falsettos aren't for everybody, and I recognize that. I
used to be so fearful of, like, what it would look like if I was at a party and, like, my phone was plugged into the aux, and someone was, like, looking through my Spotify, and they'd be like, oh, you listen to this band? Oh, you listen to this band? And I'd even more so be worried about the bands they wouldn't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'd be like, oh my God, like, how come you don't have this band? And why isn't this on here? Like, I used to live my life in a way where I was so scared of, like, other music snobs like evaluating
totally.
Me. I had to live through the stage where in hardcore and metal it started to become like everyone started to get really elite about guitar playing, and all of a sudden like playing in drop tunings was out. So I was already like, okay, so like let's just like make it harder to play for no reason because you guys are saying so. Where it's like if you play too many open palm mutes, people like would like trash your guitar playing. Remember like the Emure joke, right? Like, oh, their tabs look like binary. They fucking shut the fuck
like,
up.
Who cares if it sounds good? That's all that fucking matters. Who cares how simple it is?
Soundwave Superior is one of the funnest songs in the world, and it's entirely zeros. Fuck you.
Dude, Tactical Nuke by A-Strain.
Exactly. And if anything, Gent really proved that, like, it's not about the amount of notes you're hitting. Rhythms. Like, you can have some very, very complex rhythms, so. But yeah, I thought Touche Amore was such, like, a like a result of those times where it was like, oh, like if you sound like Emir or the Acacia Strain and all you do is chug open notes, like I'm writing poetry over dissonance.
Yeah.
Like, great. Super cool, dude. Awesome. It sounds like your show is going to be a lot of fun. We can all stand around and listen to you cry. All right, guys. Well, I think that is going to do it. Thank you so much for sticking around. Please like and subscribe. Please check out the Insta. I think we have a TikTok. And honestly, it's not cringy to tell your friends that you watch our podcast. So tell your friends. Be like, hey, I watch this podcast. Maybe you should like, maybe you like the podcast too. So show them the podcast. And I just want to give a big thank you again for Tommy for sticking around. Tommy's been recording with me here for like 4 hours. So big round of applause for Tommy.
We out here, man.
So thank you again,
Dude, thank
Tommy.
you for having me. It was a super fun time.